Good morning. It's Tuesday, the 2nd of July. Greetings from a calm and still Northumberland. See what the day will bring. What am I going to say today? Well, there are two things I want to say. Firstly, our parishes have been discussing how we begin to move back to a degree of normality after the lockdown eases. And we've come to some conclusions about a gentle restart over July and August. And I shall be writing and saying more about that towards the end of the week. So if you live in our parishes, watch out for some more news as we move forward. Secondly, I want to talk about how the gospel thread that we've been reading is developing. We've been reading for the last few weeks since the ordinary time began from St. Matthew's Gospel. And for a long time, it was what we call the Sermon on the Mount. Jesus was sitting and teaching and giving out his wisdom and the word of God to those who were beginning to follow him, starting with blessed are the poor in spirit and so on, and through for several chapters about the teaching that Jesus gives. But now we've moved into a new phase in Matthew chapter 8, where it's more action. And we we begin to see the teaching of Jesus in a different way. The teaching of Jesus through bringing healing, forgiveness, deliverance, and peace into lives which are troubled. If you like, we've moved from pure teaching, Jesus in the chair on the mountain speaking to others, to the Jesus who lives out and acts the power of God in the world. And that's important for us because as Christians, we have two elements to our Christian lives. One is, as disciples, we learn, we read, we listen, we study the scriptures and particularly the life of Jesus and learn from it in our minds and in our hearts what is necessary. We are students, disciples. When I worked for a few years with Iranian Christians, they made out the point that student and disciple is very similar for them in their language in Farsi. We have to be students of Jesus. We have to learn from him. But it isn't always about being passive. It's also about putting this into action. And of course, Jesus embodies the loving action of God in our world in bringing healing and salvation for all people. And it's our task to share in that ministry. I shall play again in our prayers later on that prayer of St. Teresa, Christ has no body now but ours, no hands, no feet on earth but ours. Our Christian lives have a balance. And that balance is between reflection, learning, contemplation, but also putting our faith into action among our neighbours. It is no good to look in a mirror, as St. Paul says, to see a truth and then not to put it into action. At the end of the Eucharist, when the Eucharist becomes restored, we say, thank you for feeding us with the body and blood of your Son, Jesus Christ. Send us out to live and work to your praise and glory. We learn, we receive, we grow. And then we are sent by God, as Jesus sent the disciples sometimes, to go out and to live and to work as God's people, as the hands and feet of Christ in our world. May God bless us in this.